Hey everybody, what is going on? HexLex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. Coming back at you with a classic I have not used in quite some time. Spright Synchro is a deck that I have been very much enamored with pretty much ever since I first topped with it in the MCS, which was MBT's old Master Duel tournament series from a couple of years ago. And I started using Spright Synchro variants pretty much as soon as Assault Synchron was released. Now, a lot of the reason I haven't used it in recent years is because of the banning of Chaos Ruler, and also the fact that Spright Synchro in my old version was all 2-card combo lines. However, with the latest wave of Synchron support, not only is this deck feasible again, it's actually 1.5 card combos now, or one specific card with any discard. So I'm going to show you the new combo line, and then I'm going to show you some replays that really highlight how the deck can play not only out this combo, but in various scenarios as well. So I'm going to start by using Reinforcement of the Army to grab our 1-card starter, which is going to be Full Speed Warrior. Full Speed Warrior plus any other card in your hand to discard is going to be full combo in this deck. And here's how. We're going to begin with Normal Summon Full Speed Warrior, activate the effect in order to add Synchro Fellowship from our deck to our hand. Now we can activate Synchro Fellowship. I want to add the new Assault Sonic Warrior, as well as, of course, a Junk Synchron from my deck to my hand. And then from there, we can discard anything. I'll just get rid of this extra Assault Synchron. As always, we're going to pretend that all of our other cards were, hand traps or whatever. But anyway, so now you should have Full Speed Warrior on field, Assault Sonic Warrior, and Junk Synchron in hand with 3 other cards. Now we can go activate Assault Sonic Warrior in order to special summon. This will activate Assault Sonic Warrior's effect, and now we can add Assault Synchron from our deck to our hand. Let's activate the effect of Assault Synchron and Special Summon, and now we can Synchro Summon for level 4. We're going to go for our Cupid Pitch here. We're going to use Assault Synchron plus Full Speed Warrior specifically. We want to leave the Assault Sonic Warrior up for reasons you're going to see in just a moment. Now Cupid Pitch is summoned. We are going to activate Cupid Pitch's effect in order to increase the level up to level 6. Now we can Synchro Summon for level 8. We're going to make Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon using Cupid Pitch plus Assault Sonic Warrior. This will trigger 3 effects. Cupid Pitch Chainlink 1 because it's mandatory. We can go Excel Synchro Stardust Chainlink 2. And you can even Chain Block with the Assault Sonic Warrior effect that gives your monsters 500 attack points for the rest of the turn. That's why I like to save the Assault Sonic Warrior for later and go into Cupid Pitch with Full Speed Warrior. Alright, now we're going to revive the Assault Synchron that's in our graveyard with Excel Stardust. And Cupid Pitch is going to be adding an old friend that I haven't used in quite some time. That's going to be Caligo Claw Crow. It's dark, level 6, or level 2 rather, with 600 defense, and can special summon itself. So it fits our needs perfectly. Let's special summon the Caligo Claw Crow. And we can also activate the effect of Synchro Fellowship in our graveyard. We can reduce the level of our Excel Stardust Dragon down to 7, and now we get an extra normal summon for our Junk Synchron. Junk Synchron can summon and revive one of our level 2 non-tuner monsters. I'll just go ahead and grab Full Speed Warrior here. Now, at this stage, I'm going to actually make Spright Sprend, and I'm going to do that with Assault Synchron and Caligo Claw Crow. Now we can activate Spright Sprend, and I'm actually going to be sending another old friend from previous Spright Synchro builds, Ringo Worm, the dragon guarding the 100 apples. If you're looking for an option that isn't a UR, you can also just use Plague Spreader Zombie, but Plague Spreader Zombie requires you to put a card from your hand on top of your deck, so Ringo Worm, while more expensive being a UR, will give us access to a level 2 tuner from the graveyard without needing to essentially discard a card from hand. But first thing I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to activate the effect of Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon, tributing itself to Special Summon Stardust, and then I can immediately perform a Synchro Summon. We're going to go for Juraishin, the Cursed Thunder God, using Junk Synchron and Stardust Dragon as materials. Now, because my Excel Stardust tributed while my Assault Synchron was already in the graveyard, we can use the effect. You do have to do it this way, by the way. If you were to activate the effect of Excel Stardust with Assault Synchron on the field and try to make like Baron de Fleur or something, then you wouldn't be able to activate the effect of Assault Synchron, because this has to already be in the graveyard at the point in time in which your monster was tributed or banished. Alright, so Assault Synchron can revive the Stardust Dragon. And now we can go Ringo Worm Graveyard Effect. We are going to banish and then summon a 100 Apples token. That counts as a tuner, meaning that we can go into Baron de Fleur using our token plus our Stardust. So there we go. Now we not only have an Omni Negate setup, but also a board wipe too. And as you can see, we still have all the materials necessary to summon a gigantic Spright. And now that we're done Synchro summoning, I'm going to do just that. We can go for Gigantic Sprite's effect. We can detach the full Sonic, or the full Speed Warrior rather, and special summon Spright Blue. Now we can activate Spright Blue, and that's going to let us add Spright Jet. We can special summon Spright Jet and activate in order to add Spright Starter. Now we can make the Elf using Gigantic plus one of our other Spright monsters. I'll throw it over here to give my Baron de Fleur some target protection. Alright, let's activate Spright Starter. Now you can either go for red if you want a monster negate, or carrot if you want a spell trap negate. I'll just grab red here. We're going to activate Spright Elf. Can revive any of our monsters here. Doesn't particularly matter which one. If you revive Assault Synchron, just remember you can't do more Synchro summoning because you're locked into level, rank, and link 2 monsters for the rest of the turn. And now I'm going to make IP Masquerena using Spright Blue and whatever we revived off of Elf. And there you go, that's what your end board is going to look like. So as you can see, you set up all of the same stuff that Spright already does, but you get to add a board wipe in the form of Juraishin, as well as the Baron de Fleur here as well. So very nice little added buff to your otherwise regular Spright end board. And again, it's just a regular 1.5 card combo line with the full Speed Warrior, making it a lot more accessible than previous Spright Synchro combo lines. Okay, this first duel is going to be us going second against Dracotail, and more than that, it's also going to show a push through Maxx C, which is not something I would normally try to do on turn 1 with a deck like this, but on turn 2 when I have the ability to battle, I'm a lot more inclined to do so. Our opponents lead with Ketu Dracotail, searching out the Lucius, which made me feel very confident even though I only opened the one Imperm in my hand. If they go Ketu for Lucius, I imagine they probably need this Lucius to fly into the 5 mana pretty badly in order to be able to make plays. And sure enough, that's the case. They have to end their turn right afterward. Alright, we're going to draw. Going into our main one, I'm going to start by normal summoning full Speed Warrior, and right away my opponent's going to throw out the Maxx C. So knowing that I have to play through this, I'm looking at my hand, and I realize I can actually do quite a bit with this. I'm going to go for the Synchro Fellowship, grabbing the Junk Synchron, as well as Assault Sonic Warrior, getting rid of my extra full Speed Warrior from hand. And we're going to special summon the Assault Sonic Warrior, activating to grab Assault Synchron. I am going to differ a little bit from the main combo line here, as rather than going into Cupid Pitch, I'm going to go straight into Herald of the Arclight. So now not only do I have a negate setup, but also the Herald of the Arclight has its Omni Negate effect, meaning that I could stop a Nibiru, or if they try to fuse with 5 mana, they won't get any of their Dracotail monsters' effects. Alright, we're going to special summon the Spright Jet as well as the Assault Synchron here, and now I'm going to go for Cupid Pitch, now that we have the negate up. Cupid Pitch gets to activate, increasing its level, and then we can make the Assault Synchro Stardust Dragon. Or Excel Synchro. Alright, Cupid Pitch activates, we can go Chain Link to Excel Synchro Stardust. The nice thing about the Assault Sonic Warrior, and it's going to really matter in a lot of game states like this one, is the 500 attack point buff is not just for monsters that are currently on the field, it's for any monsters. Okay. Like, it's residual for the whole turn, all of your monsters. Okay, so here, my opponent is going to end up using the 5 mana after I summon the Excel Synchro Stardust, which is actually perfect timing for me, because now I don't have to give up my Herald of the Arclight to stop this. I'm going to chain Excel Stardust to my opponent's 5 mana, and that will allow me to Synchro Summon in the middle of the Chain Link. which means I can summon out Baron de Fleur before my opponent gets the Arthelion on board. And now, as mentioned, I don't have to give up my Herald in order to negate this Arthelion. Also, these 3 Dracotail monsters my opponent just banished do not get their effects, meaning they don't get to set a bunch of cards, and they can't chain block either. I can simply use the Baron de Fleur to negate and destroy the Dracotail Arthelion. And now we can keep comboing. I'm just going to make Caligo Claw Crow and then Spright Red. We're going to go for Baron's effect to pop the Lucius. Moving to the end of main, they try to bait me with a Fuelos. Obviously, I don't care about that anymore. And here is the Nibiru. We're going to use Spright Red to get rid of our Caligo Claw Crow in order to handle that. And if we look here, that leaves us with 8,100 damage on board. So even if our opponent hadn't taken that incidental 800 from the Cupid pitch, we would still have lethal on board here. And there it is. Lethal through a Maxx C with one of the most heavily special summon combo lines I've played recently. Good stuff, but of course we have some more gameplay. Let's go into the next duel. Alright, so this opponent's going to be on quite the 60 card pile deck. It's mainly Lightsworn stuff, but they're also doing a lot of Dark Magician things here too, including a Primite package as well. This time we will be going first, and our hand is really solid for comboing. We're going to normal summon Full Speed Warrior, finding a Synchro Fellowship, and then our opponent's going to throw out Fuelos. Yet another game of us having to play through these extensive, draw a bunch of cards, hand traps. But even though this deck is a little bit weak to hand traps like that, I'll show you how to make some pretty good plays anyway. We're going to special summon Assault Sonic Warrior here, grabbing the Assault Synchron. We can special summon Spright Blue and grab Jet. Now I'm going to summon Jet. Jet Effect is going to grab Starter. We can special summon the Assault Synchron. And now I'm going to go Assault Synchron plus Full Speed Warrior into the Herald of the Arclight. That'll give them one draw, and I'm going to give them another draw by going Blue plus Jet into the number 65 Gin Buster. After that, we can set Spright Starter, pass back over to them. Now they can draw for a turn, but during the draw phase, we're going to go Spright Starter and go for Carrot. So what I've done here is, even though my opponent hit me with the Fuelos, we were able to set up 3 negates and only gave them 1 extra draw for it, right? I mean, they drew twice, but basically, if they hadn't have used Fuelos, they'd have 6 cards in hand, and now they have 7. So they basically only have 1 extra card, and again, we get to have 3 negates on our board as a result, which is definitely not too shabby. Alright, they're going to go normal summon Raiden, battle phase, battle over the Herald. Pretty obvious why they would want to do that. Raiden effect is going to dump the top 2, then they're going to go for a Reasoning. I'm going to use Carrot because I don't want them to be able to mill a bunch of cards off of this Reasoning, on top of course, being able to summon a monster. However, unfortunately for me, they end up having the Grass in hand anyway. This looks really bad, and I thought about conceding for a second, but then I actually looked at all the cards that my opponent sent to the graveyard, and really, Wolf and Weiss, the 2 they're activating here, are the scariest ones. And I can just use Gin Buster to negate the Weiss, and that's going to stop them from a lot of what they can do. But yeah, looking at the rest of this, nothing here is really that scary. The only thing that they even milled that has a graveyard effect is Black Goat Laughs. And yeah, all this other stuff is like totally fine. It was at this point that I realized that I didn't need to concede even though my opponent resolved Grass. Because it's main phase 2, they can't OTK me anyway, and nothing they're doing right now is threatening at all. They're milling a bunch of cards that don't do anything in the graveyard, and they went set 2 and then pass. Draw phase, they're going to go Black Goat Laughs, but I'm the one who's laughing when they call Junk Speeder, which isn't even in my extra deck. It's not even in my extra deck. That is, I think, one of the biggest advantages you'll have playing a deck like this, is people are going to be like, what even is this? And when it comes to specifically having to have counters like Black Goat Laughs, they're not going to know what to do. Alright, Synchro Fellowship's going to get activated here. I'm just doing a little bit of deck thinning. I obviously already have a Junk Synchron in my hand. Don't need to search another one, but we're going to normal summon Junk Synchron, revive the Assault Sonic Warrior, and special summon the Assault Sonic Warrior from hand. That is going to search and fetch in the same word there. It's going to search out under Excel? No, Assault Synchron. I always get Excel and Assault mixed up in this deck. Anyway, we can make Cupid Pitch now. Assault Sonic Warrior also gets to activate here, giving our board a buff. And again, that is for the whole turn. It's for every monster that we have on the field, not just the ones that are currently in play. which is actually pretty ridiculous. Getting to add a free, like, anywhere from 1,500 to 2,500 damage makes it a lot easier to OTK in this deck. There's our Caligo Clawcrow. Just gonna activate the Excel Stardust here, because I've already got another Assault Synchron in my graveyard. So even though, like, I used Assault Synchron plus Excel Stardust to make that Baron with the effect, I still get to revive Excel Stardust, because again, I had a different Assault Synchron that was already in my graveyard. Yeah, I'm making the Duration. I mean, at this point, I really could just go, like, Baron Pop and then probably swing in for lethal, but I kind of want to at least maybe get to Spright Carrot in addition to the Baron before I swung into 2 back rows. Either way, we're all set here. I got one last replay to show you before I show you the deck list and we finish off. And this last duel will be another going second game up against Lunalight this time. I think here we did open a couple of hand traps. We have another Imperm. We do actually play a pretty dedicated hand trap suite of, I think, 12 hand traps in this deck, but just did not get to open that many. Oh, we have Fulos. Okay, there we go. So my plan was to Fua in response to Poly and then Imperm the Perfume Dancer, but unfortunately, it just does not look like our opponent had another card to use with the Polymerization. Really sad to see Lunalight have that dead of a hand, but yeah, again, my plan, if they actually had plays, was to chain Fulos the Polymerization. I thought they were just going to go Poly for a Perfume Dancer right away, and then Imperm the Perfume Dancer. That would not only cycle for a draw, but also, of course, Imperm would stop the Perfume from being able to set up plays. Now here we don't have any Synchro stuff, we can still just do Spright things, you know, hashtag just Spright things. We're gonna go Jet and then Blue. They're gonna go Droll and Lockbird. I actually am gonna use Crossout here, because I really want this Jet to be able to find a Spright starter from my deck. And my opponent's gonna concede right there. I thought they let me go on for at least a little bit longer. But the main thing to know if you're doing like Spright plays without the Synchroing in this deck is that we don't have Swap Frog, we don't have the Nimble Engine, so you're gonna end on a very minimal Spright board. Like, the most you can put out for like a turn 1 scenario is gonna be like Elf, IP, and then Red or Carrot, which is fine, that's not bad. But in a going second scenario like this, we can still swing in for a lot of damage and then set up that board, and just given how little our opponent did on turn 1, I think we would have been fine on a follow-up turn as well. But, alright, that'll go ahead and do it for the games. Let me show you the deck and we'll end off the video here. Okay, so here is my updated deck list for Spright Synchro. Definitely going to click through all the cards so you can see all of them, as there's probably some like Caligo Clawcrow and Ringo Worm that you might not be familiar with. But yeah, this actually, as far as the combo line goes, plays very similarly to how I built Spright Synchro in the past. I did see on the Discord server a little while ago, someone had posted a Spright Synchro build they found on YouTube that utilized, you know, this new Synchron support, which is what gave me the base idea, but I did lab out this whole combo line and build pretty much by myself on my own time there. So there might be more optimal ways that you could do this, setting up a board that is, but I also went out of my way to not include cards from the Synchron package that actually Synchro lock you. The only Synchro lock effect we have in this deck is on Assault Synchron, and even then, that's only while it's face up on the field. It's not for the whole turn. So I wanted to be able to set up a combo line where you could do Synchro stuff and then do Spright plays, right? Like the previous iterations of this deck that I've played. And I think we did fairly well here. This build is my like initial build after figuring out the combo line. And this is, of course, the build I also took to ladder. But there are some ratios you could adjust here. For example, I don't think you necessarily need a full playset of things like Assault Synchron and Assault Sonic Warrior, although I will also say that these cards are not bad to open just as extenders in general. Same for like Synchro Fellowship. I think that being over 40 is not a terrible idea, because we do play a couple of Garnets, mainly the Caligo Clawcrow and Ringo Worm, but in a Spright deck, these cards are never going to really truly be Garnets, because you can always just normal summon them and then special summon a Spright monster from hand. These cards also have their own like extender effects, meaning that even if you open them, it still doesn't really feel that bad to open. Like if you open Caligo Clawcrow, your combo line doesn't really change, you just don't search anything off of Cupid Pitch, right? Opening Ringo Worm is the biggest change, because obviously Sprint wants to dump that, but then you could just normal summon Ringo Worm if you got Spright monsters, and then still be able to go into Synchro plays. Now, you might think with Junk Synchron, I would want to have a level 5 Synchro monster, even if it wasn't Junk Speed or just anything, but I really don't think it's that necessary, because if you're playing on turn 3 and you follow up with normal summon Junk Synchron to revive and you have no other monsters, you can still just link them into Elf and then make a Gigantic or something. Like, there are definitely things you can do with Junk Synchron outside of actually making a level 5. That said, if there's any suggestions folks have to the build or combo lines or to the extra deck, I'm always open to hearing that. I looked through the level 5 Synchro monsters. I thought about maybe trying to squeeze in something cute with like Ib, right? The World Chalice stuff, but that requires so many dedicated main deck slots and I'm really not trying to add more Garnets to this deck. But definitely let me know what you think in the comments below. Always appreciate the feedback. For the time being, though, that is going to do it. Thank you, as always, for watching, and let's go ahead and move on now to our outro, where we can thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers, specifically, for their very generous support. Hey everybody, HexLex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which, by the way, is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/HexLex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is HexLex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.